Listen to me right now. Somebody out there's holding back the greatness they were born with because they still keep in company with a weak version of themselves. That weak version of you? He's the one whispering, you ain't good enough. You ain't smart enough. You ain't got what it takes. Let me tell you something, that voice ain't God. That's fear talking. That's doubt working overtime trying to rob you of your destiny. See? I know what it's like to live with that weak self. I done lived with mine. That Steve who was broke, who slept in his car, who doubted he could make folks laugh for a living. But let me tell you what I had to do. I had to kill him, not physically, but mentally. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You can't carry dead weight into a promised land. You're trying to build a dream while dragging an anchor. That ain't gonna work, man. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, that weak version claps. Every time you say, this is too hard, he grins. But the moment you stand up and say enough, that weak version starts to tremble. He knows his time is up. You want to be successful? Yeah. Kill your excuses. You want to be respected? Kill your laziness. You want to walk in purpose? Kill that fear. Let me tell you, I've seen broke folks turn into millionaires, addicts turn into mentors, nobody's turned into household names. But they all had one thing in common. They buried the version of themselves that was comfortable with average. You gotta starve that part of you that wants comfort. You gotta choke the part that wants validation from people who ain't doing nothing with their own life. You hear me? Greatness don't live on the surface. It lives deep, way down where faith gotta be louder than fear, where hustle outworks doubt. But you can't dig deep while holding on to shallow habits. Some of y'all pray for change, but refuse to let go of the version of you that God is trying to replace. You asking for new blessings, but bringing that same old mindset to the table. That don't line up. Your old self wants to survive, but your new self, your destined self, was designed to thrive. And those two can't live in the same house. One has to go. So today, make a decision. Don't negotiate with your weak self. Don't argue with him. Don't pamper him. Put him in the ground. Have a funeral if you need to. And then rise. Rise like you know your name. Rise like you know your calling. Rise like you ain't afraid of what's next. Because what's next is waiting on the real you. It's time. Kill that weak version of yourself. You got too much life to live to let a scared version of you do the driving. Let's go. You can't reach greatness while holding on to weakness. That's the core of it. Most people want to win, want to succeed, want to shine, but they keep dragging around this old, scared, excuse-making version of themselves, and they wonder why they're stuck in the same place year after year. You can't climb a mountain with a ball and chain around your ankle. That weak version of you, that's the chain. It's not your circumstances, it's not the people around you, it's the version of you that you refuse to let die. You see, everybody's got two versions inside of them. There's the version of you that believes in your gift, and then there's the version that doubts it. There's the version that wants to take risks and do something big with your life, and there's the version that just wants to stay safe, stay quiet, stay invisible. You've been feeding that second version for too long, and the more you feed it, the more it grows, and before you know it, it becomes the dominant voice in your life. That voice that says, what if it doesn't work? That voice that tells you we're not ready. That voice is weakness disguised as logic. But let me ask you something. How long are you going to let that version drive your decision? How long are you going to let that weak self keep you from the life God created for you? Because I'm telling you right now, greatness isn't for the lazy. It's not for the scared. It's not for the ones who keep waiting on permission to be powerful. Greatness is for the one who gets tired of being average. It's for the one who finally says, I'm done playing small. I'm done hiding behind fear. I'm done living below my potential. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more books or more courses. What you need is a funeral for that version of yourself that keeps holding you back. You gotta kill that weak self, bury him, put him to rest. That version of you that's scared to start the business, gone. That version of you that keeps quitting every time it gets hard, dead. That version that keeps talking about a maybe one day, eliminate him. One of you is going to win, either the strong you or the weak you. And the one you feed the most is the one who survives. I know this is uncomfortable to hear. Growth always is. Because killing your weak self means taking full responsibility. It means no more blaming your parents, your boss, your partner, the economy, your city, or your past. It means you look in the mirror and say, it's on me now. And when you do that, you stop waiting for change, you become the change. You stop looking for motivation. You start creating momentum. You stop settling for less. You start demanding more from yourself every single day. You were not born to live a life of fear and hesitation. You were born to lead, to shine, to create, to inspire. But none of that happens until you say goodbye to the version of yourself that's comfortable being ordinary. That version was necessary for survival. He helped you get here and here. But now you're trying to go there. And that weak self can't come with you. He wasn't built for that destination. So today, draw the line, burn the bridge, close the door. Decide that from this moment on, the weak version of you no longer has a vote in your future. He doesn't get to speak into your dreams. He doesn't get to set your schedule. He doesn't get to design your habits. The strong you, the one full of purpose, passion, discipline, and fire, he's in charge now. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're not too far behind. You're just one decision away from a different life, but that life won't show up until the weak you is gone. Kill him, not with hate, but with purpose. Not with anger, but with truth. Bury him and rise. Excuses are the language of the weak self. Every time you open your mouth and say, I'll do it tomorrow, or I don't have time, or I'm just not ready yet, you're not speaking truth. You're speaking fear. That's not you talking. That's the scared, small, uncommitted version of you that's been holding the mic for too long. And if you don't take that mic back, if you don't take control of your voice and your choices, you will keep living a life that's beneath you. Because excuses don't build dreams, they build regret. You see, the weak self is clever. He knows how to sound reasonable. He'll say things like, well, you've been working hard, you deserve a break. Even though you know you've been slacking. He'll say you don't want to fail again. Remember how bad that felt? And suddenly, you hesitate. That hesitation becomes habit. That habit becomes your lifestyle. And one day you wake up and realize you've been building someone else's dream while yours collected dust. That's how excuses steal lives. Not all at once, but slowly, over time. One skipped workout, one unfinished goal. One more reason why now's not the time. And before you know it, you become a professional procrastinator, an expert in almost starting. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not tired. You're distracted. You're not stuck. You're scared. You're not stuck. You're scared. You're not unprepared. You're just letting that weak self convince you otherwise. Let me tell you something real. Your dream doesn't care about your excuses. Opportunity doesn't wait for you to feel confident. The world doesn't slow down while you think it over. Life is happening now. And every second you spend explaining why you haven't started is another second your potential goes to waste. That's not being safe, that's being stuck. If you want to break out of that cycle, you've got to stop speaking the language of your weak self and start speaking the language of action. That means showing up when you don't feel like it. That means making moves when you're scared. That means choosing discipline over dopamine, purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort. Every day you have a choice. Are you going to talk yourself out of your destiny, or are you going to take one step toward it? You can't keep entertaining excuses and expect results. You can't pray for progress and make peace with your excuses at the same time. Something's got to give. Either the excuses go, or the results don't show. You've got to decide which one you want more. Comfort or change, safety or success. And look, I get it. The excuses are familiar. They've been your protection, your shield, your way of coping with failure and disappointment. But that shield is now your prison. The same walls that kept you from getting hurt are the same walls that are keeping you from growing. It's time to knock them down. You don't need more protection. You need more exposure. Exposure to risk. Exposure to failure. Exposure to what you're truly capable of. The strongest people in the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who keep showing up despite the fear, despite the doubts, despite the discomfort. They don't make excuses, they make decisions. They don't negotiate with their goals, they pursue them relentlessly, consistently, without apology. That kind of life is available to you, but only if you're willing to kill the part of you that keeps looking for a way out. Kill the voice that always has a reason why not. Silence the whisper that says, maybe next year. You don't need next year. You don't need next year. You need now. You don't need more time. You need more courage. Every time you silence an excuse, you strengthen the real you. Every time you choose action over comfort, You take one step away from weakness and one step closer to greatness. It's not about doing something massive overnight. It's about doing the right thing repeatedly, especially when it's hard. That's what makes champions. That's what makes legends. So make the choice today. No more delays, no more reasons, no more lies you tell yourself to feel better about not moving forward. Excuses are the enemy. And if you want to win this war within, you've got to stop speaking their language. Speak faith. Speak action. Speak vision. Speak vision. And watch your life change. That starving comfort and feeding discipline is the difference between staying average and becoming everything you were born to be. Comfort is easy. It's warm, familiar, and safe. But it doesn't grow you. It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't stretch you into the person you're meant to become. Discipline, on the other hand, isn't always pleasant. It's early mornings. It's doing the work when no one is watching. It's saying a no to things that feel good in the moment, but steal your future in the long run. The weak version of you loves comfort. He lives off it. He needs everything to be just right before he takes action. He waits for motivation. He wants applause before effort. But the strong version of you, the one who's hungry, the one who's focused, the one who's chasing purpose, that version doesn't have time for comfort. That version wakes up with a mindset that says, I don't need to feel like it. I just need to do it. You can't build a life of greatness while feeding your weaknesses. You can't create a future of strength while protecting your old habits. Every time you skip the hard stuff in favor of what's easy, you're feeding the wrong version of yourself. That weak version wants to watch one more episode, sleep one more hour, eat one more unhealthy meal, make one more excuse. And if you keep feeding him, guess what? He gets stronger and you stay stuck. Discipline is what breaks that cycle. It's what separates the successful from the almost successful. Discipline is doing it even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one claps for you. It's training your mind to serve your purpose, not your feelings. Because feelings are temporary, but discipline builds a legacy. Look at anyone you admire. Anyone who's done something worthwhile, they didn't get there by choosing comfort. They got there by embracing discipline. They didn't rely on luck. They built systems. They created habits. They made sacrifices. They got up when they didn't want to, showed up when they were tired, and stayed consistent even when progress was slow. That's what it takes. No shortcut, no hack. Just consistent discipline over time. You can't pray for a breakthrough and then treat discipline like it's optional. You can't ask for success and keep choosing what's comfortable. At some point, you have to say, I want this badly enough to change. When you make that decision, everything shifts. Suddenly, skipping distractions isn't a punishment. It's a strategy. It's a strategy. Saying no to temporary pleasure isn't a loss. It's an investment. Showing up every day becomes a reflection of who you are, not just what you do. The weak version of you will fight this. He'll tell you it's too much. He'll say you've earned a break. He'll remind you of all the times you failed before. You should. Don't listen. That voice is afraid. Afraid of what you'll become when you stop choosing comfort and start choosing power. Afraid of who you'll be when you fully commit. So today, starve your comfort. Cut off its supply. Stop feeding your distractions. Stop pampering your procrastination. And instead, feed your discipline. Wake up on time. Follow through on your word. Stick to the plan when it's boring. Push yourself when it's tough. Keep showing up until you can't be ignored. Because the stronger your discipline, the quieter your excuses become. The more consistent your actions, the louder your confidence grows. And the more you choose what's hard today, the easier your future becomes. Comfort might feel good now, but it will cost you later. Discipline might hurt now, but it will reward you forever. Choose wisely. Feed the version of yourself that deserves the life you dream about. The weak version of you and the strong version of you cannot live in the same body. One of them has to go. They might both show up every day, but only one will be in control. Only one will be making the decision, setting the tone, and leading your life. If you want to be successful, if you want to fulfill your potential, if you want to walk in purpose, you have to decide who's running the show, your old self or your new self. See, the weak version is familiar. He's been with you for years. He knows all your insecurities, all your bad habits, all the ways to talk you out of your greatness. He shows up when it's time to try something new, when it's time to take a risk, when it's time to be uncomfortable. That's when he starts talking. You can't do that. What if you fail? You're not ready. But that voice, that weak version, doesn't belong in your future. You've got dreams that require boldness. You've got visions that require courage. You've got a calling that requires discipline, consistency, and fire. And that calling cannot be fulfilled while your weak self still has a say. You have to kill him off, not later, not next week, but now. Because every day you let that version hang around, he's influencing your decisions. He's slowing you down. He's making you doubt what you know God already told you was yours. This is why people stay stuck, because they're trying to grow, trying to become, trying to rise, but they're still carrying the version of themselves that was never meant to go where they're headed. That version that settled, that version that quit, that version that stayed quiet when they should have spoken up, stayed seated when they should have stood tall. You cannot bring that energy into your future and expect to thrive. You cannot take weakness into a war and expect to win. There comes a moment where you have to stand in front of the mirror and say, I'm done with you. You have to bury the doubts, the excuses, the self-sabotage. You have to put the fear in the ground and leave it there. And when it tries to resurrect, and it will, you remind it that you're no longer available for the things that drain your strength. You remind it that your mindset has changed. Your standards have changed. Your identity has changed. You see, growth isn't just about adding more. It's also about subtracting. It's about removing what no longer serves you. And that weak version, he's got no place in your future. He's got no seat at your table. He's not welcome on this next level. It's not an easy process. Killing the weak version of yourself takes honesty. It takes discipline. It takes being real enough to say, I've been in my own way. But once you do that, once you make the decision that only the strong version gets to live, everything shifts. Your energy shifts. Your habits shift. Your focus sharpens. Your confidence grows. You stop playing small and you start walking like you know who you are. So don't be afraid of the process. Don't fear the letting go. That weak version had its time, but now it's time for the real you to rise. The you that's bold. The you that's resilient. The you that doesn't need permission to be great. That version is ready to lead your life, but only if you're willing to bury the one that's been holding you back. Only one can survive. Choose wisely. God didn't give you a dream just for you to be average. That vision you see in your heart, the one that won't leave you alone, the one that tugs at you when you try to settle, that didn't come from nowhere. It's not a fantasy. It's a glimpse of who you're capable of becoming. But that version of you, that strong, bold, powerful version, he can't show up if you keep letting your weak self take the lead. Your weak self doesn't understand the assignment. He's not built for faith, purpose, or elevation. He's built to survive, not to thrive. Not to thrive. And if you let him, he'll keep you stuck in survival mode for the rest of your life. Just getting by, just existing, just doing enough not to drown. But God didn't create you for just enough. He created you to live in overflow, to lead, to inspire, to be a light. But purpose requires pressure. And the weak self avoids that. He runs from it. He doesn't want responsibility. He doesn't want growth. He wants comfort. But comfort is the enemy of calling. You can't chase a divine dream and stay addicted to ease at the same time. You have to pick one. And if you choose comfort, don't expect clarity. Don't expect fruit where you haven't planted discipline. Don't expect elevation while still bowing to fear. God gives vision, but he doesn't force it on you. He'll show you the mountaintop, but he won't carry you there. That journey is yours. And if you're carrying dead weight, the old you, the scared you, the version of you who keeps asking permission, you're not going to make it. You've got to travel light. That means letting go of everything and everyone that keeps pulling you back to average. It's not just about hard work. It's about alignment. Your thoughts, your habits, your language, all of it has to match where you're going. You can't speak defeat and expect victory. You can't think like a failure and build like a winner. You can't pray for greatness and then partner with fear. That's why the weak version of you has to go, because he doesn't match the dream. Nothing great happens without that. The weak version of you will not release control without a fight. He'll fight for your attention, your energy, your comfort. But if you want to rise, you have to be ruthless. You have to take back your mind, take back your time, and take back your focus. You've got a future waiting on you. You've got a life that was designed for impact, for purpose, for influence. But it's being delayed every day you allow that weak version to make decisions. Kill him. Put an end to the days of settling, quitting, hiding, and doubting. Eliminate the excuses. Eliminate the distractions. Eliminate the fear of being judged, misunderstood, or criticized. That fear doesn't serve you. It suffocates you. This is your moment. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time. You need a decision. The decision to step up, to transform, and to leave the weak version of yourself in the past where he belongs. Eliminate what's holding you back. Embrace what's calling you forward. That's how transformation happens. And the only thing standing in the way is that old version of you who still believes you're not ready. Silence him, starve him, let him die, and step fully into the life God's been calling you to live. You don't need permission. You need action. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be committed. Bro, the weak version of you had his turn, and he wasted it. Now it's time for the real you to take the lead.